Hello and welcome to the channel again. This is Sam trying to spin to win on Swift. Today is an exciting day for 3 reasons. First, it's stage 5 of ZRL, the Queen stage no less. An absolute monster of a points race on the Everything Bagel course in New York. It's going to be brutal. Second, although we'll obviously have to see how I do today, I think my form is slowly coming back. So hopefully that means I can put in a good performance today. I've had some good sessions of training this week, so yeah, the signs are pointing in the right direction. And third, it just so happens it's my birthday today. So I'm hoping to give myself a nice birthday present by finishing in the top 10. That would be nice. That way, turning 51 won't seem so bad.
You're really old.
Yes, yes, I know, I'm old. Getting out of bed is getting harder every day. But let's hope I can roll back the years today at least.
You serious?
Man, I don't know about you guys, but that guy is annoying. Doesn't he know it's my birthday? Anyway, let's have a quick look at today's course and then also the standings in the league after 4 races. And then let's see what this old man can do.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
So, today's course in Swedish, I would describe it as en Javla Grisbana. I probably shouldn't translate that verbatim into English here on YouTube, but in summary, effing prick of a course is close enough. Suffice to say, it's going to be an absolutely brutal course to have a points race on, that's for sure. There are a lot more detailed course reviews on YouTube, so please look at those if you want a more in-depth look. But at almost 35 kilometers with 525 meters of elevation, this is going to be one tough test, that is for sure. Swift Insider estimates it will take around 56 minutes at 4 watts per kilo, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're there or thereabouts today. And the course starts with a big bang. After just over 2 kilometers, we start climbing. There's actually about a 400 meter pretty steep climb before the New York Common Reverse actually start. The climb itself is not that long, just over 1 kilometer, but it is steep at 8.1% gradient. And since it's a stepped climb, the climbing sections are even steeper than that. I looked at a ZRL race we did in November where this climb was present, and I did that one in 2 minutes and 40 seconds at an average of 397 watts. I'm not sure if we'll go quite as fast today, but it is a solid 3-minute effort very soon into the race. So you have to make sure you absolutely are warmed up properly. We pick up an anvil at the top, and you can use that right away if you need to, or perhaps save it for the first sprint. If you can time it right, that is.
Pay attention. Timing is everything.
The first sprint comes after 13.6 kilometers and is a short 150 meters slightly downhill affair. I expect people will go full gas here for the points, as they should have had some rest after the initial climb. I'm planning on going for it also, so it'll be fun to see how this old boy does.
Very badly.
We pick up a feather power-up here, which will be very, very useful for the upcoming climb. After a few more kilometers, at 19.3 kilometers, we come to another small climb. This one is not even classified, but I think this may be a key point in the race. It is around 800 meters long and quite steep, and I expect the stronger climbers to push here to put some hurt into the legs of the other riders before the actual points climb even begins. The New York Com climb starts at 26 kilometers, and at 1.4 kilometers it's slightly longer than the initial climb. It's also a bit less steep at 6.3% gradient, But again, it is a stepped climb, so the climbing sections are quite steep. Again, I looked at an older race I did, and I managed to get up this climb in 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Again, at an average of 397 watts. Coincidence, perhaps. Since there's both FTS and FAL points on offer here, I wouldn't be surprised if I need to go as fast, or even faster than that, to nab some points here. It will likely be a max effort. We grab another anchor here that you will likely use right away, as there's really no point in using it for the sprint. After a steep descent, we then hit the next sprint very quickly. This one is a little longer at 230 meters and is slightly uphill at the end. I expect full gas here again for the points on offer, but I suspect the legs will not be quite as fresh as on the first sprint.
You think?
We pick up another feather here, and now we just have 6 kilometers left. So, time to prepare for that final sprint, which is slightly downhill towards the finish banner. All in all, a very tough course indeed. And since it's a points race, I think the pace will be high throughout the race today, unfortunately. I just hope I can stay with the front group over the 2 climbs and be there at the end for probably a sprint finish, and then you never know what can happen. Now, let's just have a quick look at the team standings in the league after 4 stages. We unfortunately lost top spot after the time trial in stage 4. But we're still sitting pretty in second place. 2Gas is 1 point ahead of us, and R3R is 1 point behind. We then have an 8-point gap to the next team, LEQP. So, unless there are any big surprises, the fight for a top spot will likely come down to the 3 teams currently at the top. We seem to do slightly better in the points and scratch races than in the team time trials, so let's hope that trend continues today. Alright, enough small talk. It's time to see what this old boy can do. This one is for the Old Timers Brigade.
Let's race.
As we roll off the start line here, a few comments on my tactics for today. Normally on points races, I usually don't go all out for the points. Rather, I try to finish as high as I can in the end, and then if I pick up any additional points, that's a bonus. However, for this race, I decided I was gonna go for it and sprint as hard as I could. And if I paid for that at the end, then so be it. The start was relatively easy for once, nothing crazy, and I think everybody else was just preparing for the first climb, which came very soon into the race, as we know. One surprise was that we actually got a power-up at the very start. None of the race previews I looked at mentioned that. And this was actually not the only surprise, but more on that in a second. My tactics going into the first climb was just to make sure I stayed in the front group while spending the least amount of energy I could. However, I found out after the race there were actually FAL and FTS points on offer on this first climb. Again, something that was not mentioned in any of the race reviews. So I certainly missed out on some points here. As you will see, I could have pushed harder on this climb. The first incline before the com actually starts wasn't too bad, and as we start the actual climb, I'm still feeling okay. I am trying to draft as much as I can on the flatter sections and then push harder on the steeper sections. The first step of the climb was okay, and I am still in touch with the front group going into the second step. This is where people are starting to push a bit more, and the peloton is really strung out, with the smaller front group now forming. Still feeling strong here, although the heart rate is creeping up. As we get to the third step, the pace increases yet again, and I'm slowly starting to drift back. But again, I planned this as I knew by now I would make the front group over the climb. And as we go into the final steep section, I'm just trying to maintain a decent power output without going all out. As I get to the top, I really come off the power, and then I coast to the banner. However, if I had known there are points on offer here, I would have pushed much harder. And I think I could have been much higher up the standings here. Very annoying. On the positive side though, I broke my 5-minute power PB here. And since I had a bit left in the tank, this is boding well for future races, I think. A small skip forward here, and we are now approaching the NY sprint section. After the climb, the pace had been high but steady, and I just drafted as much as I could and made sure I gathered some speed on the downhills right before the many small bumps on this course. I had actually saved my anchor power up for the sprint, and I was hoping I could time it correctly. As we go down the hill leading into the bump that contains the sprint segment, one guy goes off the front. The peloton also starts to increase the speed, and I just tried to stay towards the front, but looking back, I didn't push hard enough on the small climb before the sprint segment and lost some positioning here. And as we crest, I hit my power up and go full gas. I am gaining on the front guys, but I cannot make up the distance lost on the incline before the sprint. And I crossed the banner in 7th. Slightly disappointed at that, but I later found out that I won maximum FTS points on this sprint, which I was surprised at, but pleased with. We have skipped forward a bit again here to the unnamed climb I mentioned in the race preview. It had taken me a few minutes to recover from the sprint, as I did go all out there, and again the pace had been high but steady. The front group had also grown again to around 29 riders, as the smaller group dropped on the climb had managed to get back on. And I was really happy to see all 6 Swedish Swifter riders in the front group at this point of the race. I was a bit surprised going up this climb that the pace wasn't higher than it was. Still a solid pace, but again I thought some of the stronger climbers would really push here to wear out the legs of the other riders ahead of the upcoming climb. So nobody was dropped on this section, so there are still close to 30 of us going into the final climb. The last couple of kilometers leading into the final climb were slightly downhill, so I did manage to rest quite a bit, and I'm sure it was the same for the rest of the front group. We then start to climb, and for this one I did know points were on offer, so I was going to have a good go at it. Therefore I wanted to stay towards the front and not drift back as much as I did on the first climb. The pace was pretty high up the first step, but I felt in control and my positioning I think was pretty good. I drafted on the flatter section and made sure I was in touch with the very front going into the second step. One guy, Mr. Rolls, went off the front, clearly a very strong climber, but I decided to stay with the chasers at this point. We all push hard up the second step, and I am starting to drift here somewhat, which is what I didn't want to do. However, somehow I got confused on the climb, and I thought we had 2 more steps at this point, so I didn't push as hard as I could have. But then I realized we only have the small final kicker to go, and I hit my power up and push as hard as I can. As you can see from the footage, I moved up quite a bit here, and I was 7th through the banner. Again, I think I could have been a few places higher if I didn't come off the power on the final flat bit, as I thought we had an extra step to go. But overall, I think this was a pretty decent effort from me. After the banner, I keep pushing for a bit to gather some speed for the descent. And then I hit my anchor and try to rest as much as I can. I do, however, put in a few small sprints on the flatter sections to maintain the speed, and to my surprise, I gain a few seconds on the people behind, while also starting to close on the 2 riders in front of me. And when we finally get to the bottom of the hill, I've caught up to Mr. Rolls and Miss Lorente, and we're now 5 seconds or so ahead of the rest, with the final sprint coming up very soon. I tried to draft a bit here and prepare for the sprint, And with around 150 meters to go, I step on the gas again to see if I can beat the other two riders. And to my surprise, I crossed the sprint banner first for maximum FAL points. I must say I was really happy with how this section of the race turned out for me. Another small skip forward, and we are now approaching the finish. Again, I had just tried to draft since the sprint and recover as much as I could. And there were just 10 of us in the front group now. And 3 Swedish Swifters and only 2 riders from Tugas that I could see, our biggest rival in this series. So I was happy with our odds at this point. People actually started to push with over 500 meters to go, which is quite far out. I just tried to draft and maintain my position, as I know I can't go full gas for that long. I start my sprint with just under 300 meters to go, but in hindsight, I think that was just a little too late. I was also on way too heavy of a gear, schoolboy error here. And as you can see, I am closing on the front at the end, but run out of road and roll over the line in 6th place. Overall, a good performance today, although I certainly made some mistakes. Let's now have a look at the results and see how my team did overall. Mr. Rolls won the race ahead of Niklas from my team in 2nd and Mr. Carson in 3rd. I finished in 6th place as just mentioned, but much more importantly, we managed to have 5 Swedish Swifters in the top 16, which was a fantastic team performance. And our last rider finished 28th, which is also a really good result. As such, when we look at the team results, we finished first, 26 points ahead of Tugas, and a whole 82 points ahead of LEQP in 3rd. So, the Swedish Swifter Mimir team really stepped up today. A great birthday present for me, that is for sure. Okay, just a few post-race thoughts as usual, then we will wrap up this race recap. Alright, post-race thoughts. First, happy birthday to me. I did finish in top 10, so there's my present. Felt strong today, strongest I felt in a race for some time, I think. And I had a bit more to give in the end. So this is boding well for upcoming races and the upcoming FRR tour, which starts in about a week and a half. Overall, yeah, really good. I think we won as a team today. Very strong team performance by all of the guys. And for me personally, I think I was in the top 5 in points. I won one FAL segment for sure. And I think I may have won an FTS segment as well on the first sprint. Oddly enough, I was only 7th across the line on that one, but the fastest sprint, which tells me that I have the punch, but not the timing. And that was the case on the final sprint as well. I started 50 meters too late, and I was closing quite fast, I think, on the leaders at the very end, but I just ran out of road. So it's something I really need to think about. I need to go just a little bit earlier. But anyway, I can't complain. Really good race. Some good numbers for me. And again, like I said, I think I had a little bit left in the tank. I know I could have pushed harder on the second hill, but again, I ran out of road. That was my mistake, clearly, because I thought I had a bit more to go, and then I realized, crap, we're almost at the top, and then I pushed at the end, and I was closing really fast on the guys in the front. But again, just ran out of road. So a few mistakes, but overall, I can't complain. Really good race. Happy for me personally. I thought it was good performance, but even more so happy for the team. So we won. I think 2 guys finished 2nd. So unless I'm mistaken, we're now all square going into the final race. What a cracking finale that would be. All right. I got another club ladder race on Thursday. So I'll produce a video for that. Hopefully you'll enjoy that one as well. And then, not sure if I'll get selected for next week's ZRL. We'll see. If so, it'll be a video there. But then, I'm gonna bombard you guys with videos from the FRR, assuming I stay well. Really looking forward to that one. It's gonna be a cracking event. Tough as you like, but a lot of fun. Anyway, if you stayed around this long, thank you very much for watching. This is Sam, trying to spin to win on Swift, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one, bye-bye.